Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this debate on a very important motion, as it were. The first private member's motion brought before this session of the Senate. I commend Senator Lalit Etienne for not wasting any time in bringing a motion that goes directly to the core of fairness, equality, social inclusion, and non-discrimination. I want to put my contribution has a lot to do with looking at this through the eyes of maybe, let's say, workers. Because from where I sit, I'm listening, but there's a dissonance between what I hear and particularly when I wore a different hat, what I saw happen in the world of work. We have a lot to fix when it comes to this, how we treat persons with disabilities. I think in listening to Senator Lalit Etienne and her contribution, and I thought she hit the nail on the head when she said that she created this distinction between ableism and disability, and where people view the disabled through our medical eyes, and they view the person as being in need to be repaired, by words, something to treat, because they lack something, vis-a-vis being viewed as a person with a right. And it goes to the point of moving away from being this charity base to a rights base. Because from the world I come from, I've seen workers run out of their jobs over and over again. I've had to defend many a worker who, whether they become disabled whilst at work, they are quickly treated as an expenditure item that we need to, what's the term we use? Medically board them. If you happen to be in the public service or in the state sector, as the case might be. And it goes to, in a different sense, when I hear Senator Lewis mention the economic cost, because I've seen it. I could pull up on my phone even right now, where an employee is being a disabled employee, a person with disability, who is being encouraged to be medically boarded. And she has asked for my intervention. You know what? She wanted to know what that means. She's in her 40s. She's been asked because she cannot contribute in the way she used to, that maybe she should be medically boarded. What that means, how am I going to take care of myself now that I am? And I want to be clear, she became disabled due to something that happened at work. And now she's faced with a choice where somebody wants her out of the job. She thought she was being accommodated, but then they start putting pressure on her. So she has asked for my intervention. What is the intervention? Tell me, what am I going to get when I am medically boarded? That's the reality of a lot of workers in the world of work. So whereas we will sit down here and, when I listen to the contribution, we seem to be all on the same page. We seem to all care. But in practice, that's not the way of work. People are hung out of their jobs on a daily basis in this country when they become disabled. I think that is surely in part of what I know would have given as part of the reason for Senator Lee Etienne needing to come with this motion for us, because it is real out here. I have played a role where I've helped disabled persons to get jobs. But to keep jobs, it is difficult for persons with disabilities. And I really hope that we all will use our time to help change that mindset. A mindset where we no longer see a person with disability as somebody who needs to be fixed, some treatment, some person that we need to take care of, and is what it will cost and how long can we do it. But rather that we come to the point that these persons have a right to be here, a right to take care of their life, themselves, and take care of their families. Because that's the only how it's going to change. Is that mindset. It's a mindset. It's a big debate that takes place every time. Whether you get disabled because of something that happens on the job. And my God, if they have difficulty when you are become disabled because of something that happens on the job, or you're the victim of an accident, as the case might be, just try to imagine the difficulty for them to hire someone with disability. And we are not even in any way thinking about a person who all right, sorry. Right, but we're not even in any way dealing with the whole idea of with what a normal disabled person when a person is trying to just simply be hired. That's what we face. I've faced dealing with that. People simply wanting a job. And for you to get past that, it is not that they're asking for a favor. They're just looking to be able to take care of their families, and they're citizens of the country. And being a citizen of the country, they have a right to work.
And make a meaningful contribution.
They have a right to work. They have a right to contribute. They want to pay taxes as anyone. I have a situation where a disabled person, again, became disabled, and I had to try to help them. They were living in a home, but now they're wheelchaired, but the bedroom is upstairs, and they have to be relocated. And they did not have a clue how to address a situation like that. And therefore, you have to go and try to intercede on their behalf. And what Senator Leroy Etienne is speaking about is that there's no other system that those things you know what to do next. And that is part of our reality. We need to move from seeing persons as being in some kind of subject to some kind of ailment that needs to be cured, and rather as having a right as any other citizen in this country. And it's in the little things I want us to remember, because sometimes maybe we have something I like to call it temporary disabled. And when I say temporary disabled, right now, even at the Ministry of Labor, we are dealing with issues where people who were subject to COVID-19, and the implications of long COVID, and persons who were, when they were out of the job, they were unable to work. They have reclassified these people and did not pay them for the time that they were away from the job. Because they were what? Disabled, albeit temporarily due to this COVID-19. And even where that is concerned, it's an uphill task to get the employer to accommodate persons when they are unable to work in the manner that they would have want to make how the employer would like the contribution to be made. If they're unable to do so, a lot of pulling teeth in whether they would allow the person to work from home. All those are issues, particularly when they wore another hat that you had to deal with. And by extension, the disabled person who seem to be altogether unable to make that same contribution, it's about pushing them out of their jobs. That is what we face with on a daily basis, and I would like to hope that we all recognize that. And if we all could contribute to changing that mindset, that would be a start in the right direction. At the Ministry of Labor, we have set about to try to help in changing that mindset, in using particular with some initiatives. Some of the initiatives, in the few minutes that I have, speak to, one, that we train persons within the ministry, and we have had the ILO help us with setting up an ecosystem of support to sustain disability-inclusive employment. In doing so, our actions are centered on 4 R's. Ready environment, where we are looking at workplace policies, programs, and legislation, changing attitudes, and creating accessible spaces, and developing coordinated plans. The next R is ready persons with disabilities, where the focus is in facilitating job placements for persons with disabilities through our National Employment Service and preparing them for the world of work. This also includes creating collaborations with employers and their organization. We also engage in ready employers. This is about changing the mindsets and engaging employers as key stakeholders, and of course, ready entrepreneurs. And this involves supporting the development, the growth of micro and small enterprises by entrepreneurs with disabilities, and promoting the cooperative model as an alternative form of business organization. From our discussions with the organizations of persons with disabilities, the general view is that persons wish to be part of the mainstream programs and initiatives that are designed to facilitate their involvement and integration rather than have separate services developed which can have the effect of further exclusion. However, at the ministry, we recognize the need for a balance where there are instances where specially designed programs may be necessary. As a first step, we have sought to put our house in order by building internal capacity on disability inclusion, interacting with persons with disabilities, and developing inclusive communication systems. Staff of the ministry have received training from the ILO and the government of Singapore on interacting with and empowering persons with disabilities, as well as on measures to promote greater inclusion. The ILO was engaged to provide training on employment of persons with disabilities. 2 sessions have been held in which nearly 50 persons were trained. The sessions include the staff of the Ministry of Labor, Small and Micro Enterprise Development, the Ministry of People and Social Development and Family Services, and the National Training Agency. Further, to these sessions, the ministry is in the process of working with the Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies to introduce a compulsory module as part of all of its programs, which includes human resource management, industrial relations programs, the safety programs, that's occupational health and safety, and cooperative studies. We have also been meeting with the technocrats at the Ministry of People, Social Development and Family Services, the Ministry of Health, and the Tobago House of Assembly, the Equal Opportunity Commission, and the University of the West Indies to better understand the areas of convergence in our work on disability inclusion. We have also, Mr. President, conduct our own accessibility audit in terms of the physical facilities of all offices of the ministry, and we have utilized the US standard of built environment and created a checklist on the requirements of building based on same. Mr. President, we have also developed a national employment online network aimed at facilitating better access to job seekers and employers who wish to register with the National Employment Service. This will include accessibility features for persons with disabilities to easily navigate the online system. In closing, Mr. President, this administration has done quite a lot over 10 months to advance disability inclusion in our society. While I focus mainly on employment and entrepreneurship aspects of our work, my colleagues would have shared on education, health, social protection, and other areas where work has been advanced in disability inclusion. Our international commitment under the UNCRPD and the ILO conventions, combined with the existing national policies, such as the National Policy on the Persons with Disabilities and Equal Opportunities Act, provide a strong foundation. However, these frameworks must be continually reviewed and strengthened to address the remaining gaps that hinder full inclusion. The Ministry of 6 o'clock is for sure.
Please.
Member
can continue, please.
The Ministry of Labour of Small and Micro Enterprise Development is committed to the provision of employment opportunities for all, including persons with disabilities. In this regard, we know that continued policy development and awareness building are needed to ensure that legal protections translate into meaningful workplace inclusion and equality. The Ministry pledges to maintain ongoing engagement with all relevant stakeholders to ensure that the lived realities of persons with disabilities are reflected in policy reforms and practical interventions. We have not only been chanting the slogan of "nothing about us without us," but demonstrating it with the genuine and meaningful engagement of our people living with disabilities. Let us move forward and with determination and unity to build a society that leaves no one behind. I thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I beg to move that this Senate do now adjourn to a date to be fixed.
Honorable Senators, the question is that this Senate do now adjourn to a date to be fixed. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. This Senate now stands adjourned to a date to be fixed.